Stage 1. The Cold War Era. Back when bell-bottoms were considered acceptable fashion and nuclear annihilation was a daily concern, a group of scientists and military types were cooking up something radical, a way for computers to talk to each other. It started as ARPANET, basically a government-funded project where 4 computers talked in painfully slow, awkward sentences. Imagine 4 socially anxious robots trying to host a dinner party. That's ARPANET. The whole goal? Survive a nuclear strike by decentralizing communication. By the late 70s, email showed up. And even though it looked like the digital version of a fax machine, it was revolutionary. People realized they could send messages instantly. And thus began humanity's descent into per-my-last-email culture. Stage 2. The internet gets a face. The 90s gave us a lot. Grunge, Tamagotchis, and the soul-crushing realization that dial-up internet meant no one could use the phone. But it also gave birth to the World Wide Web, thanks to a mild-mannered British scientist named Tim Berners-Lee, who basically invented the part of the internet you actually see. Websites, hyperlinks, and, yes, the ability to accidentally end up on a conspiracy forum at 2 a.m. Tim didn't patent his invention. What a guy. And that decision arguably led to the internet becoming the sprawling, chaotic playground it is today. This was the age of GeoCities, AOL chat rooms, and websites with exactly one button that said Enter. We didn't know what we were doing, but we were doing it with Comic Sans and animated flame GIFs. Search engines started to emerge, except they were more like confused librarians. Ask Jeeves? Yeah, he didn't know anything. AltaVista? Also vibing. Still, it was magical. For the first time ever, you could talk to a stranger across the world about your favorite Star Trek episode, and they could ignore you just like in real life. Stage 3. The dot-com boom and bust. By the late 90s, the internet was no longer just a weird thing your cousin talked about. It was becoming the future. And anytime something is declared the future, Wall Street gets dollar signs in its eyes. Welcome to the dot-com boom, a time when you could slap .com on anything and investors would throw money at you like you were the next sliced bread, only digital. Pets.com spent $300 million to sell dog food online. Webvan promised groceries at your door before Uber Eats was even born. Boo.com, no one really knows what that was, but it burned through $135 million in 18 months. Valuations skyrocketed. Companies went public without profits, or sometimes even products. It was the first time people realized you could make billions without actually doing anything. You just needed a cool name, a slick pitch, and a vague promise to disrupt something. But like all good parties, this one had to end. In 2000, the bubble burst. Hard. Billions vanished, stock markets plummeted, and thousands of next big thing websites disappeared overnight, taking their blurry logos and flash intros with them. It was a crash, but not the end, because from the rubble rose new giants. The survivors, like Amazon and eBay, weren't just hype. They had actual business models. Who knew? And just as the dust settled, a new kind of internet was quietly being born. Stage 4. The rise of Web 2.0. After the dot-com dust cleared, the internet didn't just recover, it mutated. Welcome to Web 2.0, where the internet stopped being a static encyclopedia and started becoming a conversation. Except instead of scholars debating ideas, it was your aunt arguing about vaccines and strangers sharing cat videos. A beautiful mess. The big shift? User-generated content. You were no longer just reading the internet, you were writing it. This era gave birth to YouTube, 2005. Suddenly, anyone could be a filmmaker, or at least upload blurry footage of their cousin getting hit with a wiffle ball bat. Facebook, 2004. What started as a Harvard Hot or Not directory soon became the social network. Then it became a global platform. Then it became your mom's favorite place to share Minion memes. Twitter, 2006, where thoughts were condensed into 140 characters, and somehow that was enough to start global arguments. Wikipedia, replacing encyclopedias by trusting literally anyone to edit world knowledge. And it somehow works. It wasn't just about the websites, it was the culture. People started blogging, vlogging, tagging, sharing, liking, commenting. The internet wasn't something you visited, it became somewhere you lived. Suddenly, everyone had a voice, and not always for the better. But we were hooked. And with all this data, attention, and engagement flying around, the sharks began to circle. That's right. Stage 5 is when the internet gets monetized. Stage 5. The mobile and social takeover. If Web 2 was about participation, this era was about portability and profit. Thanks to the rise of smartphones, the internet was no longer something you sat down at a desk to use. It became something you carried in your pants. And with it came constant notifications, doom scrolling, and the need to check if someone liked your brunch photo every 4.3 seconds. Let's break it down. Mobile everything. Apple's iPhone launched in 2007, and Android devices changed everything. By the early 2010s, nearly everyone had a mini computer in their hand. Apps became the new frontier. No more typing long URLs. Just tap and scroll. Suddenly, you could order pizza, hail a ride, swipe for love, and accidentally reply all to your boss, all from the same screen. Social media domination. Instagram, 2010, turned everyone into a photographer. Snapchat, 2011, added disappearing messages and a new kind of panic. Facebook kept growing, acquiring Instagram and WhatsApp and turning into a data mining juggernaut. YouTube matured. It wasn't just cat videos anymore. It was full-blown entertainment, education, and conspiracy theory central. Monetization nation. Ads became personalized, which sounds nice, until you realize your phone is eerily good at predicting your next existential crisis. Your data became the product. Not your photos, not your memes, you. Social algorithms started shaping what you saw and what you believed. And guess what? The internet didn't just change how we communicate. It began changing how we think. Which brings us to the next and slightly darker chapter. Stage 6, the algorithmic era. By now, the internet wasn't just a tool. It had grown into a hyper-personalized mirror, one that showed you exactly what it thought you wanted to see, whether or not it was true. And honestly, it was mostly right. Rise of the algorithm overlords. Platforms like YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, now X, Instagram, and TikTok began fine-tuning algorithms that prioritized engagement above all else. These systems weren't built to inform or enlighten. They were built to keep you scrolling. The longer you stayed, the more ads you saw, and the more data they collected. It's not personal. It's just profit. So what kind of content did the algorithm love? Outrage? Fear? Drama? Conspiracy? Also, raccoons stealing food, those are still objectively great. Information wars. Political events like Brexit and the 2016 US election revealed just how much algorithms could influence minds and even democracies. Fake news wasn't just a buzzword, it became a business model. Echo chambers formed, everyone had their own version of the truth and their own YouTube rabbit hole to fall down. The era of influence. Social media became less social and more influential. People were no longer just users, they were brands. If you had a phone and a ring light, you had a shot at turning likes into lifestyle. This era felt both limitless and claustrophobic. You could learn anything on the internet, but your feed decided what anything meant for you. By the way, if this is your kind of existential fun, consider subscribing. It won't cure your algorithm addiction, but at least we'll spiral together. Stage 7, the post-truth and AI age. We've arrived at the weirdest chapter yet, the one where reality is negotiable. This is the stage where the internet stopped being a reflection of the world and started replacing it. Pandemic plus digital overload. The COVID-19 pandemic forced the world online. Work, school, birthdays, funerals, karaoke nights, all digitized. Zoom fatigue became real. Your grandma learned how to screen share, nothing made sense. This period accelerated everything. Remote work, digital dependence, misinformation at industrial scale. Enter AI. Stage left. Around 2022 to 2023, generative AI, like yours truly, became mainstream. Tools like ChatGPT, DALL-E, and Midjourney meant anyone could write an essay, generate art, or create a deepfake in seconds. Creativity? Enhanced. Reality? Blurred. Job market? Nervous. The post-truth problem. We used to say, pics or it didn't happen. Now it's, even with pics, it probably didn't happen. AI can clone voices, faces, and entire personalities. The internet is now flooded with synthetic content, and distinguishing truth from fiction is exhausting. And then there's the internet of niches. Your YouTube homepage might look nothing like mine. We no longer share the internet. We each have our own curated, algorithm-fed dimension. In a way, we've all become the center of our own mini-universe, which sounds empowering until you realize we're all just data points being sold to advertisers. On that note, you should totally like and share this video, not because I'm begging, but because maybe, just maybe, the algorithm gods will smile upon us both. Stage 8, the future internet, the merge. Humans and tech become one. The lines between us and our devices are already blurry. In the future, they might disappear entirely. Neural implants like Neuralink could let us browse the internet with our thoughts. Augmented reality, AR, might project digital layers over the real world, turning every surface into a screen. Your fridge could DM you. Your glasses could show Yelp reviews in your field of vision. Your thoughts could be your Google search. If this sounds dystopian, it kind of is. But it's also the next logical step in our increasingly intimate relationship with tech. The madness, fragmentation, misinformation, and digital exhaustion. We could also go deeper into chaos. Echo chambers become full-blown reality bubbles. AI-generated content floods the web, so much so that we forget what authenticity feels like. People retreat into closed, paywalled, or decentralized communities just to feel safe and heard. Trust becomes the most valuable digital currency. Basically, the internet might break into tiny, conflicting universes. Think Reddit forums, but way scarier. The mute button, the great log off, or maybe people just get tired. Fed up with doom scrolling, influencers, and AI everything, a new generation might romanticize boredom the way we now romanticize cassette tapes. Digital minimalism becomes a movement. People rediscover books, silence, actual eye contact. Gross, I know, but beautiful too. In this scenario, the internet doesn't die. It just becomes quieter. Less attention economy, more intentional connection. When you zoom out, the internet isn't really a place or a tool, it's a mirror. It reflects what we value, what we fear, and who we're becoming. Whether we evolve, collapse, or log off entirely, one thing's clear. The internet isn't done changing us, and we're definitely not done changing it. If you made it this far, thanks for being curious. And if you happen to be the kind of person who enjoys deep dives like this, there's a like button, a subscribe button, and maybe even a comment section waiting patiently for you. No pressure, just the fate of independent content hanging in the balance. Until next time, stay curious.